Supriya Srinath in Basuri Swaraj, she has given a very, and I'm glad to see a BJP spokesperson coming with well-prepared, pointed comments, which you need to respond to now, Supriya Srinath, because the sense is that at the moment, there is a little bit of smoke, but there is no fire.
There is a very simple thing in the English language. Do not complicate the language and use its simplest version. I may just re-quote back to Ms. Swaraj what she has quoted. The Apple statement says, and what's on its website and on its categorical system, it's possible that some Apple threat notifications may be false alarms or that some attacks may not be detected. Read the entire sentence, and the entire sentence says that some may be false alarms, which means there could be other positives, like in the case of Russia just last month, and it also says that some attacks may not be detected. In this case, an attack is possibly detected and a threat notification has come. It's very entitled for the BJP to sit here and say that it is because of our browsing history are we getting alerts like these. The reality, even on the Pegasus case, is that no less than the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court appointed panel said that the government of India did not cooperate in the probe. So you are not all hunky-dory and all clean out there. The reality is you have a lot of questions to answer, including the highest court in the land stating that you did not cooperate with the probe. The reality also is that while you may say that you're not relying on the Apple statement, your minister, who's also the Minister for Railways and says there should be constructive criticism when dead bodies are piling up, in this case has used the Apple statement, and that's his only defense. I also want to say one last thing here, and the last thing that I want to say is what stops the Cabinet Secretary who reports in the government of India to come out there and make a clarification. There are very simple questions. Did we use the software? Did we not use the software? If we use the software, which software did we use? Under what laws have we used it? Because right to privacy is clearly a fundamental right. And no other than the Cabinet Secretary, to whom intelligence agencies report, needs to come out in the open and say it. He kept quiet on Pegasus. He's keeping quiet now. What stops you from winning the opposition's trust by doing something as simple as that? This is cloak and armor, and you just keep doing it all the time. The reality is that I'm quoting a line back to you. You cannot hide behind that statement, because that statement categorically opens up and says that some may be false, which also means that very many else can be positive.
Look,
so what about the positive
Apple
ones?
seems to be playing very safe.
Not deserve to know?
You know,
and is it an absolute coincidence, Rajdeep? Is it an absolute coincidence?
No, I made the point.
Is it an absolute coincidence that only the opposition members are getting these messages? Come on, I mean, let's put 2 and 2 together. None of us are naive, school-going children here, are we?
Okay, Basuri, one final response before I go to Priyanka, as we then will move to the ED. But the question is, therefore, Basuri Swaraj, that at one level the IT minister comes and says, look, we've got nothing, that all is clear, the opposition is raising a false alarm. At the same time says we'll order a probe. And he's relying entirely on that Apple statement. The Apple statement itself is not categorically there. Supriya is right. It's not categorically denying that there could not be state-sponsored attacks. In fact, it is opening up the possibility of state-sponsored attacks. They've not named anyone, but they're opening up the possibility.
So, Rajdeep, I'll just respond to what Supriya ji said, and I'm going to read the whole. I mean, the sense of entitlement, she was reading back the statement, please permit me to replace it. And as I said, this is not just Apple's statement. I'm relying on the Apple support website. This is the company document. It says, detecting such attacks relies on threat intelligence signals that may be often imperfect, incomplete, and possible that some Apple threat notifications may be false alarms. In such a scenario, does it not stand to prudence and to logic? Please, ma'am, let me finish. Let me finish, ma'am. What I'm saying is that in light of this particular sentence and this statement, which is on the Apple website, which is part of the Apple company document, does it not stand to prudence and to logic that an investigation must be proved? You are the responsible opposition of this country, correct? It is your right to dissent from the government. The government is being extremely mature in its response and being very, very proactive in actually going ahead and investigating this. They have even asked the question to the company in question, Apple itself, to join the investigation with all the relevant material. Please tell me, why this cacophony now? Why this dissent? Are you dissenting, and are you only dissenting for the heck of it? Be a responsible opposition. There is a reasonable doubt that occurs as per the statement, as per the words of Apple itself. And ma'am, please do not selectively read back what I had read to you. If you want, the camera can zoom in. It's the green at the bottom of the page. Kindly see it.
I suggest that the opposition is under siege and hence the cacophony. Yesterday, late night, ED summons issued to Arvind Kejriwal. 2 days ago, Vaibhav Gehlot, the Chief Minister of Rajasthan's son, being summoned by the ED and spending a day, he's been called again. Is the opposition feeling under siege? Even with Mr. Kejriwal's case, at the end of the day, your leader, Manish Sisodia, didn't get bail from the Supreme Court. Every time an opposition leader is summoned by the ED, what is the opposition's charge? That the ED is being misused. But you've got to get bail from the courts. The courts are not providing you relief.
Good evening, Rajdeepji. I'll first begin by, since we were speaking about data breach, there's also another news that 81.5 crore Indians, their data is at risk. It has been revealed on the dark web today that probably there's an Aadhaar data leakage and this data is available for sale. Secondly, I must also tell you, since Bansuri Swaraji mentioned it's probably a deflection technique by the opposition, then probably she also needs to speak about Manipur inflation,
Can we talk about all that later? Today the focus is on, is the opposition under siege? Your own leader.
Yes.
Your own leader is, your own party is claiming Arvind Kejriwal is going to be thrown into jail. I mean, even before he's questioned and summoned, you're already saying he's going to be thrown into jail. It seems as if you want to claim martyrdom even before he's investigated.
Absolutely not. You will see this bayan coming from several top leaders in the BJP since yesterday. You will also see that this has been the pattern. You will also see that they have used draconian laws such as PMLA, which kind of permits. Let me give you a brief history. Bansuri Swaraj is a lawyer herself. She'll agree with me. In 2017, the Supreme Court struck down a very unconstitutional provision which said that Section 45 of the PMLA Act, which said that you cannot be asked that a person who has been accused of a heinous crime to prove the case against himself, or you cannot expect a judge to be satisfied at the stage of the bail whether there has been commission of any crime or not, because that would mean that the case has to be entirely heard on merits, all the witnesses have to be heard, all the documents have to be examined. Therefore, this provision is draconian and unconstitutional and must be struck down. Now, the BJP, through Finance Act 2019, came up with a back route and revived this unconstitutional provision, which itself is under challenge in the Supreme Court before a 7-judge bench, likely to come up soon, hopefully. Now, we have also been charged under this draconian provision after it was revived, and therefore possibly the Supreme Court said that the case, which would otherwise take 10 years, must be disposed of in 6 months, because the case has about 264 plus 164 plus 51,000 documents to be examined. Therefore, the court has given, and the court, let me also tell you, if we examine the order at length, the court has dismissed each allegation, which was again Manish Sisodia ji, and I say this with full responsibility, that they are after the opposition. They want to silence a person like Arvind Kejriwal ji. Well, they are under a false belief that they can do that, because Arvind Kejriwal ji presented a model which uplifted its citizens, which provides the least amount of inflation in Delhi, which provides free electricity, free water, free mahilaon ko bus yatra, free buzurgon ko teerth yatra, free education, all of that. And they cannot, the BJP cannot replicate that, and a munafe ka budget. The BJP has not been able to replicate this model in a single state that it rules.
Ma'am, I want to focus, ma'am, just like in the case of Apple, I want to focus on the case. The case itself, yesterday the Supreme Court, while dismissing Manish Sisodia's bail plea, said a money trail of rupees 338 crores has been tentatively established. The moment you do that, then you can't, I mean, this is the Supreme Court. Are we saying that the Supreme Court is also being run by the government of India? Is that your charge, Priyanka Kakkar? That the Supreme Court is run by the government of India?
Let's please read that statement in context and not out of context. It said that the Directorate of Enforcement believes that the profit that the companies made, which over 10 months, because the commission was raised from 5% to 12%, which comprises of 338 crores, are the proceeds of crime. However, the ED has not been able to establish any monies with Manish Sisodia ji. So this 338 is the amount that the companies profited. So there is a policy through which companies made profit, consumers got a good experience, the government made profit, and you are saying there is corruption. Where is the money?
Okay, you're saying where is the money, prove the money charge. But, okay, you made your point, ma'am.